Welcome to the Rock Roost Podcast.
What's up, y'all? Thank you for joining us here at the Roost. We got Leroy Miller fixing to hop on board here. Dustin?
Yeah, Leroy, we're really excited about him. As a lot of people know the rock industry, Leroy has been in multiple bands throughout the years. Very, very talented individual, and very excited to have him on. And we're going to talk about a lot of things, and hopefully be able to have him on again soon. So after this. Back in the day when we had a band, we used to play "Get a Job" for years. I mean, years. And everybody would ask who come up with that, and so that would always come into the conversation of you, man. And
We
and
spread
so,
the word.
Yeah, they come into you, and then your new shit is amazing.
Thanks, man. Well, that song "Get a Job," man. Let me tell you, I live in Houston, Texas now. I lived in California for many years, and I moved to Montana for about 6 or 7 years, and then I God didn't want me to be there because he blew my house over. I don't know if you saw any of that stuff a few years ago online.
Oh,
yes.
shit! You're kidding? Like
Wow.
like a
Well,
tornado?
Basically, yeah, man. When I moved to Montana, I was like getting out of LA. I was there for 33 years, right? I had a great career. I had
Hell yes, you did.
got married a few times, had a couple kids, kind of lived life, but I kind of got to the point where it's like I got to get out of this place, and I left just in time. No offense to any of my friends in California.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
But it was a different place when I left than it was when I moved there when I was 18 years old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so I said I'm gonna change things up. So I moved to Montana, and I lived off grid out in the woods, just totally
I love
mountain
doing that.
man.
I've
I
always
grew
wanted
my
to.
beard out. I had this huge beard.
You're
for
kidding.
A long time. Oh, it was massive. I got a glorious beard.
Hell yeah. Derek
And
does too. I can't grow one.
yeah, well, I literally I lived out in the woods off grid, and I built like my own house, and it was a tiny house. You know what tiny houses are?
Oh,
Hell
yeah.
Hell
They're
yeah. What
basically
else
like-
do you need?
Yeah, well, it's like a trailer, but it's built like a home. So
Mm-hmm.
they're like really like overbuilt trailers,
Yeah.
really.
Mm-hmm.
And it was happening. I mean, it basically was just my studio, right? So
Yeah.
I had lived on this piece of land for about 5 years or so, and then I had I and it was a buddy of mine. So I eventually bought some land for myself, and so I moved my house out to this land. Now I'm like way out in the sticks. I'm at the base. I'm at the base of the Rockies, out right between Montana and Wyoming there, and the wind blows out there like nobody's business. Well, one night the wind was blowing so bad, and my son at the time was living with me,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like 19, and the house is like going like this, and he's like, man, we should like move our trucks out of the way. And I looked at him and went, what? And he's like, you never know, right? And I go, yeah, I guess so, huh? So we backed our trucks away from the house, went back in the house, and like 5 minutes later, man, there was just this sound. I looked at him, he looked at me, and like that, man, we got hit with 130-mile-an-hour wind.
Holy shit.
It picked my house up off the ground and rolled 4 times with us in it. All I just remember is looking at him going, "Uh-oh." And then it went black. I saw that my TV, because this thing was tricked, man. I mean, I had a big old TV that was
Sure.
on this thing coming off the wall. We could look at it from anywhere in there we wanted. And I just remember that TV just like shattered in front of me, and I seen my son flying across the house.
My God.
And then it just rolled, and I thought I was gonna die. It was a really weird moment, man, because it tumbled, and the first roll, I go, well, there goes my house and all my gear. and but it kept rolling, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I just started. I remember this so well. I remember thinking like, because I built the damn thing,
Yep.
by myself.
Sure.
I knew every nail, every 2x4, and I started thinking, man, there's a lot of 2x4s and nails in this thing, and it's coming apart on me as we're rolling here. And so I thought, well, I'm probably gonna die right now because I'm gonna get impaled by a 2x4 or something,
Well,
like a
hell
snap
yeah.
2 by. And it just kept rolling, and then something hit me on the head really hard, and but I was doing this, so it hit my finger, and it shattered my finger, so I got like this kind of bent
I
finger
see it.
now from
Oh
it.
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
That's the only thing that happened to me, even though my head got completely opened up, but it wasn't a big deal. And and then next thing you know, it just stopped, and the wind was blowing so loud that it just, I mean, it was probably over 100 decibels of just like noise of just this.
Wow.
Did it sound like a train? That's what I hear all the time.
Yeah, it's exactly what it sounded like. It
Really?
sounded like a freight train coming at. It was like this,
Wow.
just
Holy
coming at us. And he
shit.
looked at me. I looked at him and go, "Do you hear that?" And boom, like that, we were flying through the air. And then when it was all over, I just, I go, I can't believe it. I'm alive.
Yeah.
And so I just instinctively I didn't know which way was up, because you just
Oh
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
it's and I'm out there's no light pollution out there, so it was so dark. It's one of those things where if you're standing out at night and the moon isn't shining your way,
Uh huh.
you could be standing 10 feet away from your car and you won't see it. It's
Holy
that
shit.
dark out. There's zero light pollution, so it's very dark. And so I don't know which way's up. It's so dark and the wind is blowing. It sounds like hell on the outside, right?
Yeah.
So I just start climbing just what I thought was out. And man, like that, I felt my hand go outside because I could feel all the sand and dust hitting it from the wind. And I go, well, that's outside. So I just kind of pried myself out and climbed out, and I stood up, and it was blowing so hard I could barely even stand up. It almost like blew me over. Now, granted, it was like midnight. I was in just like a pair of shorts.
Sure.
I had no shirt on, no shoes on, my glasses, and my vision's horrible. So it's like
Yeah.
I couldn't see. I didn't have my glasses, no cell phone, no car. It was all, I was gone, right? I
Yeah.
didn't know where anything was. And then right then it hit me. Where's my son, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
His name
God.
is Luke. His name is Luke, and I go, "Oh no."
How old was he?
That's He was 19,
Oh, shit.
and I just lost it, man. And I remember saying to myself, "Please, God, don't take Luke,"
Yeah.
because I was screaming his name and I was getting no answers. And my house now is like literally it's just a pile of rubble, but I could see the roof, and the roof was about as high as my waist, basically. You know,
Wow.
it was below my vision was my house,
Holy
and it was
shit.
just a pile of rubble. And but the roof was still kind of like all together. It was weird. And I was
Wow.
screaming his name and I was getting no answer. And I made the decision, I'm going in there and I'm going to rip this thing apart
Oh yeah.
to
Hell yeah.
find him.
Hell yeah.
It was a weird vibe. I was like, I'm going to die trying to find him.
That shows.
I'm
That
gonna,
shows
or
where you're at.
whatever. I mean, I didn't feel like I was gonna die, but I'm gonna rip this
You're gonna.
thing
Yeah.
apart, and if it kills me, it can. And right then, his light in his truck turned on, because it's so dark out there that when that light turned on, it was just like, whoa. And I went, thank God. And so I ran over there, and he was sitting in the passenger side, which I thought was really weird. So I jumped in the driver's side, and he was just covered in blood, and
Oh
he's
my.
moaning. And my son is a total badass, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's like,
Hell yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is my son. He's just a killer, very strong, very smart, stoic young man.
Mm-hmm.
He's an absolute savage, dude. And here he is just moaning like
Wow.
like this weird sound, and he goes, I need to go to the hospital. I think I broke my hip.
Oh
And I'm
God.
like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, how'd you find your keys, man? He goes, when we moved our trucks, I left my keys in my truck. And I'm like, thank God, because
Y-
we're out in the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere,
you
and
wouldn't be able to go
there
nowhere.
ain't nothing. Yeah, ain't nobody gonna be saving us out there.
Yeah.
Oh
And
shit.
so it was so gnarly that we couldn't see because it was just blowing crap everywhere. And so I said, "You look at this side of the road, I'll look at this side of the road. And when you see the edge, just go left." And we literally just we went off the road like 10 times into the
Sure.
ditch. But we made it out. About an hour later, we got to the hospital, and when we walked in that hospital, it was probably about 1:30 or something like that. All those people and the late nighters, and it's a small town hospital. There was not a lot going on in
Uh-huh.
there, right?
Yeah.
They saw us walk in, and they were like, "Oh my God, who are these crackheads?"
Oh God.
Because we didn't know it. We didn't know it, but we were covered in soot from the fireplace and dirt that was being blown around in my hair. I had really long hair at the time, and it was just like it like dreadlocked
Oh
instantly
my
because of the
God.
wind and all the dirt. I had sticks in my hair, and we looked like we just crawled out from underneath a trash can. And I said, "This is what happened," and they're like, "Oh," so they picked up on it real quick. But we made it out. But we had to spend the night in the hospital, and luckily my son didn't break his hip. He bashed into it when he flew across the room. He hit the side of a table and
Oh
it
my
bashed his hip. So we
God.
were okay. But I said to my son, I go, "How'd you get out so fast?" He goes, "Man, when it all was done, one of the it was at like 30 feet long, right? And as this thing was rolling, we were tumbling around in it. And then when it finally stopped, it was like a house of cards. It just flattened out, and one of those walls came down right on top of him, and he just happened to be sitting like where he was like in a sitting position when it ended. There was a window, and that wall just came right down on top of him, and
Wow.
he broke through, and he said he had glass shards that were still connected to the frame stuck in
Oh
his
my
neck, and
God.
that he snapped them. He snapped them, so he had cuts on his neck. He had like 100 cuts on his body. He looked like he got in like a knife fight with a gang, and
Shit.
man, he had some deep cuts, and he had cuts. So he had cuts on his right over his jugular and across his arm. And they
Wow.
said both of those cuts were so close to the arteries. If any of those things would have got cut and it took you an hour to get here, he would have arrived dead.
Oh
So
no.
Holy
you guys are
shit.
lucky. And I'm like, holy shit. And me and my son, man, we were laughing about this because we had this we had all these inside jokes between me and him. We have a great relationship. We laugh and talk about all kinds of crazy stuff that
Hell
happens
yeah.
around us.
Uh-huh.
And we were like, we survived. They can't take us out, man. And so we were laughing. So the next morning, we were going out to his truck to go back to assess the damage, right? And when we got to his truck, he had windows blown out of his truck.
Wow.
And so when we got all the way out there, I had windows blown out of my truck.
Son of a bitch.
And the reason why is because it was throwing rocks through the air.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Imagine standing out there going, huh, where's my son? And all of a sudden one of those rocks hits you, man. I
And I'm
mean,
sure there's a million rocks out there, right?
oh God, tons. I
Everywhere.
mean, well, both of our trucks had rocks blow out the windows.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
So, you know what I mean? We just happened to be right there when the rocks blew by. I'm sure there was more. But it's funny because my truck, one side of my truck is all dull because I left it out there all night and it got hit all night with sand and it sandblasted the side of my truck and my driver's side mirror is all dull. I'm like, what the hell happened to my mirror? And then I thought, you got to be effing kidding me. So I thought, I went out and looked at my paint, and I went around the other side, and I'm like, Jesus, the whole side of my truck is sandblasted.
Holy
Wow.
shit.
But after that, I moved to Houston because I had a huge fan from Hog
Really?
that had kept in touch with me, and he was a musician. And at one point, he was like, "Dude, do you want to play a solo on my record?" And so I played this solo on his
Holy
record,
shit.
and he paid me, which was,
Yeah,
at
sure.
that point, I didn't even know who this guy was. So I'm like, "Yeah, you pay me, give me a
Hell
little money,
yeah.
So
Yeah.
but that kind of started our relationship, and I wound up moving here, and I lived with him for a couple of months, him and his wife for a couple of months at his house until I got my act together down here.
That is
Yeah.
cool as fuck.
And it was because of Hog. And I'll tell you, man, there are a lot of hardcore Hog fans, man. I had a story one time where because when I got signed with Hog, I got signed in the 90s, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hell
it
yeah.
was to Geffen Records. It was a great time, but we didn't sell any records. I think it went like plywood,
Which
my
is
album.
crazy.
Plywood.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's no, wait, what, if you don't mind, wait, Shane, you are recording all this shit, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank God. Shrain, we like to call him
Yeah.
Shrain the Train. Okay, go ahead. I just want to make sure.
Oh,
But
okay, cool.
yeah,
So after Hog, about a year, because after that, I said, you know what, I wanna try something a little different, because I love soul music and blues and
Oh
all
yeah,
that. I like a
hell
lot
yeah.
of different stuff, and I just at the time I was like, I just got to do something a little different, and so that's when I went solo, right?
Hmm.
And I started going under my middle name, Leroy.
That's the album name, Leroy, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
So I
your
went under
self-titled
Leroy
album.
and I got signed again. I was very fortunate. I've been pretty fortunate, man. And so I got signed again to Hollywood Records. And and anyways, I made another record. I've lost my train of thought, which I
Well,
feel
my,
like
I mean, my question
I
is,
s- yeah.
whenever you have an amazing band like Hog, I mean, because
Oh, I
again,
remember what I was gonna say now.
like what we talked about, Hog has always been a huge influence to
Oh
us. I
yeah,
mean,
definitely,
always.
definitely.
I mean,
Well,
wherever.
I remember my story now before I
Oh,
forget
go
it.
ahead. Go
Let
ahead.
me finish it off. So I got signed again. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm back out on the road as Leroy, and I'm playing in Arizona at this big outdoor concert for some radio station. And there must have been about 15 bands. It was an all-day event. It
Damn.
was and there was some rock bands and a lot of pop bands,
Hmm.
which was interesting that I was on it. My band was kind of bluesy and funky at that
Sure.
time.
Mhm.
And and uh and I was sound checking during the day. And we're throwing down, right? We're playing a song or two before, all right, next, And and this like stagehand guy comes up behind me and he goes, Hog was the first album I ever bought in my entire life. I was about 13 years old. And I stopped and turned around and looked at this guy. I went, what? He goes, that's one of my favorite albums of all time. It was the first thing record I ever bought with my own money. And I went, how did you know that I was in Hog?
Uh huh.
And he goes, soon as you started singing, I said, you got to be effing kidding me.
You tell. You can tell.
And it's a totally different, dude. Hog was like punk rock,
Sure.
sort of screaming and growling a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. And my solo stuff is more like soulful bluesy, and there's
Uh huh.
no screaming at all. It's like actual singing,
Mm-hmm.
actually, for at least for me.
Sure.
But I guess my voice has a certain sound to
It
it.
does. It really
And
does.
and he goes, I knew that was you, man. And I just went, you got to be kidding. I just thought that was incredible that somebody recognized my voice from Hog doing a completely different sort of sound. But I suppose, maybe this sort of, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You've got a distinctive voice. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's what I'm saying. How do you go from so you created Hog, right? I mean, you created the
Yeah.
band. So how
Oh,
do
for
you,
sure.
you know, I'm sure you put so much blood, sweat, and tears into Hog,
Hmm.
and then what you say it went plywood, which is crazy to me,
Yeah.
and Derek. But how do you gain the gumption to continue to try to be a musician full time? You know.
It's one of those things, bro. I'm a lifer,
Mm-hmm.
and I've good or bad, I've accepted my life of what it is. I can't change who I am.
I love it.
You know what I
I
mean?
love it. Mm.
It's like I've been playing music nonstop all day, every day since I was about 8. Um,
Really.
by the time I was 16, I was, I had my own. I mean, I was living in a small town in Washington,
Mm-hmm.
and I was playing all over town. My dad used to manage me. It was funny because my dad was like, I was doing all kinds of stuff, and then eventually he's like, I want to come down and see what you're up to because you're doing all this stuff, but I have really no idea. I hear everything about it, but I don't. My dad came down and watched my band, and we were just like we were in junior high school at the time.
Mm-hmm.
This was like even before I was 16, and he was like, "You guys are unbelievable." He goes, "You need a manager. I can get you guys paid." So my
That's
dad
a
started
damn dad
managing
right
Yeah.
there, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
because my dad was connected in town. He used to work at a television station, and so he used to be on TV, and then he was the producer, and so he knew all the movers and shakers in town.
Uh
Oh
huh.
yeah.
And so he would get us shows at the fair and the auto boat and speed show and the park concert series in the summertime. So it was a pretty
Man,
cool
that's
thing.
badass. Yeah.
But when I was 18, I moved to California and just started playing around and my bands got popular, but nobody would ever sign us. And then eventually I started this band called Clover, and
Mm-hmm.
Clover we're still known in Hollywood. It's weird.
Really.
We were kind of like this legendary thing where it was a three-piece band. Everybody in the band was a phenomenal player, and everybody in the band had lead vocal abilities.
Wow.
Damn.
So we had this massive sound, and we had big harmony,
That's
and
what I was
our
fixing to
leads.
ask. Yeah, harmony. I bet was badass.
It was badass,
Uh huh.
yeah. And we were a total mix of music. I mean, it was punk, it was metal, it was funk, it was soul, it was blues. It was very alternative,
Mm-hmm.
but in our own weird way. And and our singer, he had this just insane like rock voice.
Mm-hmm.
He could do Robert Plant. He could do Dio. He was kind of like a metal singer, but with a little more soul.
Mm-hmm.
And 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 it was just at that time, dude, the alternative thing really started to hit, and Nirvana started getting popular,
Yeah.
and and the labels they wouldn't touch us because our singer sounded like Dio, sounded like Robert
Really?
Plant.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
we had every label in town throwing money at us to do demos. And so I met a lot of people. And and then nobody would sign us. And so a lot went down. But the singer guy moved to Seattle.
Mm.
I
Ah,
was like,
where
I
everybody
was like,
where everybody went at that
I'm
point,
like,
right?
dude, it's you're going there now? Okay, go do your thing. But what happened, there's a lot that happened with all that, and it's like I really don't want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, every single person in that band went on to get signed major recording contracts, and that singer had been in Queensryche for about 30 years, man.
Damn.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
cool shit.
his name is Mike Stone. He plays guitar in Queensryche.
So
Wow.
He wo-
cool.
he wound up joining that band.
Uh huh.
But but it is an interesting thing. I don't know what happened to the drummer since then, but I know that he was in a band called what were they called? They were signed, but I don't remember what happened. But I got signed to Hog, but what I did is I made my own record So I always have been. I write my own music. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, in Clover, I wrote a lot of the songs for Clover too. And but I'm a producer. I've been producing since I was like literally
Mm-hmm.
12. When my dad bought this reel to reel, and I figured out I could do
You can just hear
sound
it.
on sound.
Yeah, you can hear it.
I could do, yeah, I could do sound on sound. I could record on the left, and then play the left and record it to the right, and then play on top of it at the same time, and you bounce back and forth, and you get overdubs. And
Damn.
so I learned how to create like multi-track recordings with a two-track recorder. It was called Sound on Sound.
Mm-hmm.
So I got pretty good at that. And but over time, I was able to produce music in studios and stuff. So I would always produce a lot of the local stuff around town,
Mm-hmm.
and I did my own stuff. And so I said, I'm going to go in and record some music because even though Clover didn't get signed, I know that this punk rock thing is about ready to blow, and we were kind of like punk rock.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of took it to the next level and really simplified it, and I started singing. And soon as I sang, I got signed
You
instantly.
are kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
man.
Wow. So was that the first band
Instant.
you sung in? Was Hog?
No, I've been singing my whole life.
Okay. So you
I've
done that
always
your whole life?
been I've always been the lead singer of every band I've ever been in except for Clover.
Ah,
And then, I played in Smash Mouth and have done stuff with other
sure.
bands
Oh yeah. No, I seen
as
that. Yeah.
kind of a higher gun thing. So, but as far as my bands, I was the lead singer in every band except for Clover.
Mm-hmm.
And in Clover, I sang a lot of harmony, and I had a couple of verses. Like every once in a while, I would sing a verse. We
Sure.
had this like interesting dynamic that we did in Clover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I had made this record with Hog, and I had my friends play on it,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like these long hair like metal musicians that just ripped. They were
Mm-hmm.
so good. And so they went in and played on this thing, and I remember, and I had shaved my head, man. I had totally gone there, right? I
Yeah.
had totally reinvented myself,
Uh-huh.
and I remember all my friends were like, it was just I was like the first one that reinvented, that decided like, dude, the '80s are over, man.
Yeah.
It's time to change and move
And
on.
and that's what I was going to ask that because to me, Get a Job and Hog and all that, it was, to me, it's different than Nirvana. It's different than Alice in
Oh, big
Chains.
time.
It's different than
Yeah.
all that, but it
Hmm.
was still, within the same
Realm.
playlist is what I
Yeah.
listen to. You know what I'm saying?
There's a few songs on that album, like if you listen to a song called Junk or Aching,
Mm-hmm.
they're not as punk rock. They're a little bit more like Clover,
Mm-hmm.
which is more like
Oh,
this,
okay.
which was just like songs.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were songs. Were like Get a Job, Walls, Nothing
Mm-hmm.
Sacred, all those other, they're very Sex Pistols punk influence type. You know what I mean? I
Uh-huh.
was kind of
And they
channeling my,
I could see that, but it's still, to me,
it was different
it's
still.
different than Sex Pistols. It's just different than
Yeah.
anything else
Well,
we play
though
wherever
I
we play the music.
Mm.
though I might have been inspired by it, I'm always gonna, the
You're gonna do
artist
your own
side of
thing.
me, yeah, it's gonna be my own thing. It's not an intentional thing. It's just it is what it is. We all kind of have our own
I love it.
fingerprint. Like if you guys play Hog songs, I'm sure it kind of sounds like your band doing
Yeah.
Hog, right? It
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
sound. It's not a total clone. It's
Mm-hmm.
just you know. And it's funny because my buddy in Houston, his band plays a bunch of Hog songs, and I've jumped on stage and played with him a few times. And I
Hell
said, dude,
yeah.
this is the first time this is the first Hog music that's been played in decades, dude.
Really.
Yeah. So,
So how
but
young were you whenever you started Hog?
well, here's the deal. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So when I moved to LA, I was 18. I had graduated high school.
Damn.
And it took 10 years before I got signed. So I was
Wow.
close to 30 years old.
That was 28 years
Yeah.
old. I mean, shit.
That.
Hmm. By the
Wow.
time the record came out, I was close to 30. because it
Damn.
took time to record it and
Yeah.
get everything
Oh yeah.
together. Took a
Really?
year. So, yeah, it takes time. And yeah, and you know what is interesting about Hog is that when my record came out and they were setting it up, it was the most added song on rock radio
I've seen
in the
that.
United States for 5 year or 5 weeks in a
Uh-huh.
row. I was beating out Smashing Pumpkins,
That's crazy.
uh,
That's
Foo
awesome.
Fighters, all that stuff,
What
man.
what happened? What I don't understand.
They they the radio loved it and they didn't put it in the stores. So when people went out to try to buy it, it wasn't in the shops. They just
Mm.
they blew, and it was Geffen Records, man. They had Nirvana,
Oh
Guns N'
yeah.
Roses. In fact, I had the same manager as Guns N' Roses.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So my managers were so pissed. They wanted to go kill those guys,
Yeah.
and they just dropped the ball, you know. And dude, that was such that band, man. We worked so hard. They sent us on tour, bro. I don't know if you guys have ever done any traveling or any touring, anything,
A little
but I've
bit,
been
yeah. Not
touring
much.
my whole life. Okay, so I'll go out for a week, maybe two, come back, go back out for a couple weeks. When they sent Hog on the road, we left LA and we didn't come home for 3 months. We didn't come
Wow.
home once.
Damn.
Even if your tour's 3 months long, you go out for a week or so, come back for a couple of days, go back out. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
We left in a van and a U-Haul and came back 3 months later. And when we came back, we played in Hollywood and we were so effing good, dude. Because you get really good when you tour a
Yeah.
lot
Oh,
and you
sure.
take those lumps and bumps. And I remember all my friends were like, "You guys, dude, this you just like blew the roof off of
Uh-huh.
this place." And they'd seen us like before we left,
Yeah.
Ah.
and they thought it was good then, but when we came back, they're like, "Man, it's a whole different level."
Tight
Yeah.
as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
when we were in a band together, I mean, we practiced every single day, hours.
Mm-hmm.
It was hours
Mm-hmm.
every day, and you eventually learn each other how you're gonna play and what you're gonna
yeah,
do,
man,
and
chemistry.
oh yeah, the chemistry is
Yeah,
undeniable.
yeah, and that's something that we ask a few people. You know, we ask some people. To you, like in our writing process, it seemed like that songs that we come up with in 15, 20 minutes were always our best because the
Hmm.
chemistry was always there. Did you all
Yeah,
have you always seen that?
yeah. I've always kind of I've got a pretty good rule of thumb. If you've got to work, I mean, it's not always 100%
Sure,
this way,
sure.
but if you have to spend a lot of time on a song, it's a shitty song
Yeah.
then
That's
because
Yes.
exactly.
good
We've
songs,
thrown some
dude,
of you out.
listen, good music. I hate to break it to everybody. It ain't yours, baby. It came from somewhere else. You were just a conduit, and it came through you. You're like
Hell
an antenna.
yes.
You're an antenna, man, and the
Mm-hmm.
and the muse that's out there that it just comes through you, dude. My record that my new
Uh
because
huh.
my new band. Don't forget, Flower, baby.
Oh hell yes.
Flower's coming.
Hell yes.
My new record, these songs, because I've been wanting to reinvent for years because I went out for a long time and I toured all over the place, doing blues and stuff, and I love it because I can rip that
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
and I
Hell
love the
yeah.
soulfulness,
The
and we
feel.
just
Oh yeah.
yeah, and just songs go on for like an hour, right? Just burning, just ripping faces off. I
Mm-hmm.
love it, but I just sort of missed like rocking and just the big power chords and just not having to worry about playing a bunch of solos, just like songs and a big sound. And I kind of I just wanted to sort of reinvent myself and have a big, massive sound and kind of get back to the old school. I just
Yes.
wanted the rock. I just wanted that massive distortion. I just wanted to do something different. And I was writing all this music, and I was just like, yeah, this is just not right. These tunes are freaking heavy as hell. It's cool, but I just it sounded a little bit to this or a little bit not enough that and this and
Mm-hmm.
that. And then eventually I just started to kind of tap into some stuff, and it was really super simple. and it was just heavy as hell. And so that's the new thing. But not to jump too far ahead. So when I did the hog thing, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I created this thing. I made my own record, and I started showcasing, and my band got so popular so fast. It was right after Clover, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got signed to Geffen. Okay, and then we went out, we worked our butt off, toured all over the place. They didn't market it right. We just didn't sell any records, and they dropped me. Because if you don't sell, if when your record comes out, if you don't sell 50,000 in the first week, you're toast. It's guaranteed death to
Damn.
you.
Wow.
I did not
Your
know
I
that.
deal.
didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you sign it, it's probably even worse now. But back then, it was like you have to sell 50,000 the first week, or we're going to drop you. Well, I didn't sell any records.
Because
None.
I mean,
They didn't have them.
that's why I'm
They
saying there's
weren't.
no way that would be correct, but unless somebody fucked up and dropped the ball.
Somebody dropped the ball.
I mean,
The
Definitely.
somebody dropped
market,
the ball on that.
You
the
know,
marketing just couldn't. They just didn't. Because what happens, man? Bands get signed, and they'll make a record. And sometimes those records don't even make it to the shelves. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They get shelved. You know, there's a lot of bands that got signed that never released records. At least my record got released.
Yeah.
So, but the thing that I figured out real quick is that I had a song on Hog, like a few songs, or well, I licensed music
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
to films and TV,
Mm-hmm. Like
and
Black
I
Sheep.
made yeah, and I made a lot of money doing that.
yeah.
Really?
So that's when I went, huh. So I don't have to go on the road, even though I love touring. But I mean, I don't have to work. I mean, I just signed the contract, and you're going to use it, and I'm going to get paid even more than when I got
Oh,
signed.
that's cool as hell. See,
Yeah.
I didn't
I'm
even think
like,
about that.
hang on a second here. This is how we're going to make money. If we make money selling records and selling tickets to the shows, bonus.
Yeah.
But if
Sure.
I can make a living playing music, I don't care how it happens.
That's the first time we heard you was watching
Through the
Black Sheep.
movies.
Black Sheep.
Yeah.
I mean, Black
Uh,
Sheep. Yeah, Black Sheep. Chris Farley
Yeah.
was our favorite actor ever when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly
Yeah.
right.
I was in
Well,
seventh grade.
I've been pretty fortunate to get in some movies where the main actors were huge stars
Oh,
and
yeah.
they died untimely deaths.
That's
And so those
terrible.
movies
Yeah.
became instant classics,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
That's exactly
So
right.
it,
And
it
Scrubs.
sucks, but
Seen you was on
yeah,
Scrubs.
yeah, tons of movies, tons of I don't even remember most of them.
Bill
I
and
was in
Ted
the
Face the
last
Music.
Yeah, Bill
Yeah,
and
I was in the
Ted.
last Bill and Ted. That was a very interesting story because they had the movie done. COVID was in full tilt boogie, so it wasn't going to the theaters, and they were going to do an online thing. Everybody was stressed out,
Mm-hmm.
and the movie was done, and it was going online in like a month or something like that. And they had that last scene. They call it an Easter egg or something like that.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
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 at the end of the movie where they roll the credits and those two guys were playing guitars, right? Bill and Ted were playing, they're old men playing the guitars, and they still didn't have the music right. And so the music supervisor on that movie
Mm-hmm.
used to be my wife.
Wow.
And
X.
she was at this meeting, and Stallone, or not Stallone, but the
Keanu.
Keon, all them were
Mm-hmm.
upset about because they had like, have you seen those videos where it shows like Clapton or Yngwie playing, and then they have really horrible guitarists like
Oh,
dubbed in?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's what they did, and Keanu was pissed. He's like, dude, this is our last movie that we're doing. This is it for. He goes, that's the last thing they're gonna see. We are not going out like that. And he goes, we want
so smart.
shredding, dude.
Hell
And
yeah.
so they contacted the greatest guitar players alive to
Really?
do that. You name it. You name it.
Wow.
from Vi to Nuno to Warren DeMartini.
Steve Vai. I mean, everybody. Wow.
Well, Steve Vai was on the first record. They had what's his name, Tosin
Uh
Obasi.
huh. Yeah.
He did some other music on that movie, and so evidently they just know they all did a good job,
Oh, sure.
but they just weren't feeling it, and they were all pissed off about it. And my ex says, "I know somebody that can do this." And they're like, God damn it, get him on the phone. So she calls, she goes, Can you do this? I go, Yeah, I'll get after it this week. And she goes, No, I need you to do it tonight.
Oh shit.
And
No
I was
pressure.
like, Oh, okay. So she sent me the reel, and so I just kind of experimented with it, and I watched Keona's what he was playing, and I just sort of watched him and kind of just imitated what he looked like he was playing.
Uh huh.
And then I went to the other guy, and he was doing like some tapping and stuff. So I did that to him, and I was like, "Oh, nah, that's kind of cool, right?" And I go, "All right, well, let's do this now, right? All right, I think I can do this, right?" And there was something inside me that just went, "Hold up, dude, no, this is it. Send it."
That is so
So
damn cool.
I just sent it off,
I had no
and
idea.
by midnight, I had a contract, and they're like, everybody loves it. And I got in the movie, so it was
Wow.
pretty cool. And I did all that off grid, so that's all solar powered electrical guitars you're hearing
Yeah.
there, baby.
Leroy saved the world.
That's
I
exactly
know,
right.
right?
You saved the damn world. That is so damn cool. I had no idea. I had no
Yeah, it
idea
was
that
pretty cool.
that's where your song was on that. That is
It's the
so
very
cool.
last scene, like when they're old men playing
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
guitar,
Uh huh.
and they're like, "You got one more in you, yeah," and they plug in, and then down. It's just
Holy shit.
total, yeah. And so yeah, I didn't hardly spend any time on it. So it's a little rough. Yeah, it's shredding, but it's raw and it's real
That's how it needs to
sounding.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it turned out to be the one. Sometimes you just don't want to overthink it, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because I was like, all right, let's just do this perfect.
Uh huh.
And something inside me, which is actually kind of rare because I'm kind of, I
A
like to like
perfectionist.
get in
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I like to get in there and play with it a little bit.
Sure.
Something inside me went, no, dude,
Fuck it.
trust me, this is it. Because it seemed to fit,
Mm
and it's because I wasn't trying to do any. I was just like playing around with it, and you know,
hmm.
it
So
just
wherever we
happened to
do a
be.
clip, wherever we do a clip of this right here, we're gonna have to put that part in there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
because
That's
you can
badass.
probably you can do that. And then so yeah, I've that's kind of what's kept me is the royalties from the film and TV stuff,
That
and
is
I
so
still do
cool.
stuff. I get crap all the time,
That is
Yeah.
so fucking
but
cool. I'm mesmerized.
and I've learned to live. I mean, when I moved to Montana, I learned to live with nothing, and so
Yeah.
and I never was happier. When I had all these homes, BMWs, and all this crap, I was never happy. And then when I had an old pickup truck living out in the woods in a tiny little, it was a beautiful house, I
Oh
will
yeah.
admit, but it was really small, and it was just my studio
That's humble,
everywhere.
brother.
You know,
Humble.
we
It's
live in
man cave.
Kentucky, and we live in a small town in Kentucky, and we love this kind of life.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. There,
Yeah, man.
yeah. The furthest west we've ever been, I think, is Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah.
That's as
You
far as we
know,
went. Now I've heard it's beautiful out there, and I plan on going out there. We plan on going out there sometime, but never been past Memphis, Tennessee.
my
Yeah.
wife was born in Great Falls, Montana.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah,
Montana's beautiful, man.
yeah,
I kind of miss Montana a little bit, but I don't miss winter. It's
yeah.
9 months,
Oh
9 months
God,
of cold weather. Man, just you'd get like summer and you'd be like, oh, and then summer's so beautiful, and you're like, man, this is so nice up here. And then all of a sudden it starts snowing again. In
oh
like June,
shit.
it's snowing. You're
So
like,
is
are you,
Texas not too hot?
man? After what I went through, because dude, you got to understand,
Oh,
man,
I'm
when you're
sure it's
living off the
traumatized.
grid, when you're living off the grid in Montana and you're heating your house with a wood stove, if you mess it up and don't get enough wood, they're gonna find you in the spring when it thaws out. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You're
Yeah.
gonna die. So there was something about that was like super masculine and manly, and I loved fighting it. Man, I'd go out in the woods with my little hatchet, and this was like before I even had like a chainsaw and stuff. I had this like little Boy Scout hatchet. I'd go out in
Yeah.
the woods and find a dead tree about that big around that was still standing, and I'd
Hell
cut
yeah.
it down. Then I'd drag it back to my spot, and I had my tools that I built my house with. So I'd sit there with my chop saw and cut these logs out.
Yeah. That,
Then
That's
eventually I
awesome.
got better stuff to do that with, but eventually, man, when I was like, I'm going someplace where it's warm, man. I got to get out of it because my son's like, I'm out of here. I'm going to California, and so he went back to his mom's and lived in California. And then I was like, man, I got to go somewhere it's warm. Maybe I'll go to Texas. And my friend's like, yeah, come to Texas.
Hell
You can
yeah.
come stay with me and my wife. And then once you get your thing together, he's like, you don't have to pay me rent or nothing. I was really,
wow.
really super stoked. And he's a hog fan.
Hell
Oh,
yes.
and now he's much more than a hog fan. He's one of my best friends of all
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. But but yeah, man, crazy stuff going down up there in Montana. But now I'm down here, so I'm reinventing myself one more time because
Yeah.
I
Dude, we
just got
love
to
it.
keep moving forward. I got to keep playing. So my new music, Flower,
Mm-hmm. When
this,
when will I learn, right?
yeah. When will I ever
Will
learn?
I ever learn?
Yeah,
Me and
man.
Derek's listened to that a few times today, and I listened to it like 3 times last night. But oh my god,
Yeah.
dude,
Powerful.
It's very
dude,
powerful.
it.
Yeah,
I love it. And
yeah. The
will it be on
the new
iTunes?
Oh yeah, it's going to be everywhere. It's on the 27th. It goes live everywhere. It's going to be on Spotify, iTunes, all the digital places. It's going to
Yeah.
be on. Um,
Hell
so
yeah.
yeah, it'll be out there. And but I'm just releasing singles right now. I'm not releasing the whole record yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Did I send you guys the whole record, or did I
No,
send you
no.
No,
guys the single?
you
It's
just
just
said
the
single.
single. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll send you guys the whole record. You guys can. You got
So
to keep
You're
it
the
under.
fucking
You got to
man.
keep it under wraps, though.
Oh, I
You got to
won't
keep
tell
it
him.
under wraps,
Now
though.
we will get this thing edited, and we will get this shit out tomorrow. And
Okay,
we're gonna
cool.
make sure of that because I mean 27th. I mean that's a big deal, and
Yeah.
I do want to
Yeah,
say
and
this. You know how much we appreciate you allowing you getting on here with us to do this shit
well,
because dude, we have
it's my
looked up to
pleasure.
you for
Many years.
many fucking years. I mean, it's
Dude,
just
this is so. You
just
guys,
awesome.
you guys got to understand something, man. That I've been doing this. I'm not. I've been holding back a little bit, but I've been doing this my whole fucking life, right?
Sure,
Since
hell
like
yeah.
all day, every day,
Uh huh.
since I was like 8. Okay, and so to and in my world and the way I look at it is like, yeah, I've been signed a few times. I've played in some famous bands, and I've been involved with platinum records and all that kind of shit. But
That's it.
I'm still flying under the radar. I mean, I'm kind of. I mean, I do. People know who I am, but it's like I'm not like super famous or
You're
anything, right?
humble as hell, dude.
But when I hear shit like this from people like you guys who are like, man, we've looked up to you for years. We were kids and we loved you. You guys got to understand, this is the fuel that keeps me moving, man.
Hell yeah.
Because again, I don't. This ain't about money. If this is about money, I mean, I love money. Who doesn't?
Yeah,
Oh, we all
of
love
I
money.
would have
course.
I would have quit this shit a long time ago because not to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm kind of smart. I could have been a doctor or
Hell yeah.
something, man. I could be so friggin' wealthy right now, it'd be ridiculous. But the thing is that though I need money and we all need money and it's nice, right? I want to be successful as possible. I don't do this for the money.
Yeah.
I
Passion.
do this because I love the the performance and the and I know what I can do when I'm playing on stage, dude. There's something that happens where it's like it's beyond ego.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a knowing thing. Like if I suppose if you talk to like Mike Tyson or some pro football player, these guys go out there and they know they're gonna hurt somebody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They know it. They're like, dude, look at me. I'm 400 pounds and I can run a 100-yard dash faster than you can. So when I'm on stage, I know I'm gonna knock that fool out like first round.
Yeah.
It's beyond ego. I have this thing that I know that I can do. And that's why I do it. Because when I play, people go, that was amazing. I
Yeah.
like
Yes.
that. Your music. Who are you? Where did you come from? And then I get this all the time. Why are you playing this shithole? And I'm like, because this is the only motherfucker that would book me. but whatever. I'll move it. But see,
Hell
you
yes.
know, even at my age, all right. So listen, we all know how old I am. I don't feel that old.
You don't look it
I
either,
mean,
brother.
I,
I look like I'm
I,
50.
I've been
I'm
I've
36.
been I've been blessed, man, with energy and good health. I mean, I'm gonna knock on some wood here.
Yeah. Find some wood.
Because shit, it starts going downhill the older you get. But trust me, man. Trust me when I say this. All these young bands and all these youngsters out there are doing this old dog's. I'm coming.
Still in there.
Yeah, that's
Still
right.
in there, brother.
Coming.
That's
and,
right.
And there's a difference, man. There are levels to this shit. And so my old athletic side of me, which was just utterly savage, it never goes away. So when I'm out there doing my thing, I'm going to be bringing the highest level, the highest quality. My songs are going to be there. The performance is going to be there. The voice is going to be on point, in tune, everything. That's the thing that I've always taken pride in, is I'm I have such an old school vibe to where we had to sound good
Yeah.
live, and I'm not knocking new
Hell,
bands.
yes.
There's plenty of good bands out there.
Auto
But
tune is a
there's
bitch.
Yeah, well, there's that, but even besides that, there are bands that I like newer bands that
Uh-huh.
are like these obscure bands that I hear their records and I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
that's fucking insane.
Mhm.
Then I go look them up online and watch their YouTube videos, and they're fucking amateurs.
They
Yeah,
suck.
they don't
They
sound
suck
anything
live.
like the record.
Oh yeah.
They're
We
horrible.
see it all the time.
Yeah.
See
And
it all
I'm
the time.
like, they're super creative geniuses, and they captured the lightning in the bottle, and then they go play live. They fucking suck.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're out of tune. The drummer's good. That's the only thing holding it together.
Yeah, the thing
Right?
is, sadly enough, today, hell, there's a lot of people that go to concerts. There's a lot of people that go to festivals and things like that. But it's the internet is so easy to just go click click click. Let me watch the
Yeah.
music video. Let me stream this. Let me do this. And hell, people don't care if they're talented or not. They're just
Yeah. I
rolling.
mean, as long as you got
Pisses me off.
computer and Pro Tools,
Yeah.
I mean, you can become.
We see
a
through the
musician.
bullshit.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah,
Well,
we
Every
see
day.
through the bullshit.
You can make records on a cell phone now.
Yeah.
But see,
Stupid.
that's just it. For me, honestly, if it's tape, it's tape. If it's computer, it's all a recording unit to me.
Yep.
You know, it's like I just watched this video just before this we came on, and this guy was slagging on somebody that was slagging on new bands or whatever, and he goes, I don't know if I agree with that guy, because he goes, I guarantee you, if the Beatles and the Rolling Stones had computers and laptops and Pro Tools,
There ain't no telling what.
they would have gone deep on that shit.
Oh yeah,
God.
definitely.
And I was
Definitely.
like, that's an interesting way to put it, because they were going so deep with the recording process with the old school shit. They took it to the max.
Yeah.
And those guys aren't using the ones that are still doing it. They're not. They're using computers and stuff now. But to me, it's not about how you make the record or what kind of equipment you use or this, that, and the other. It's it's your songs, right?
Yeah.
So even though some of these bands maybe aren't the greatest performers, I still, if they've got some good music that they put out, that's cool. All
They're
right, at
still
least we
artists.
got that out there. It's better than bands that are putting out shitty music
Yeah, yeah.
that are
Same
actually
that.
halfway decent live. You're like, fuck, they still
You
suck.
know,
Who
you know,
cares,
but
right?
I mean, yeah, they're putting out good stuff on the computer, with Pro Tools and everything. But it's like what you said earlier. Just put it out on the computer. I don't. If you're gonna sound like shit when I
Yeah.
go see you in concert,
Yeah, I just wasted my
I
time
just
I'm
going to
wasted
see
wasting
my
my
you.
time.
time and money.
Like,
But I suppose though, at the end of the day, they want to go out and have fun and rock and roll,
yeah,
and
Sure, sure.
yeah,
Well,
you know,
I don't know how heavy. This whole podcast. And me and Derek. I mean, we of course we used to be in a band together for years. He's my brother, by the way. This is my brother.
oh, okay, cool.
But we were in band. We were in a band for years, and we've got 6 kids. Well, 7 kids between us. Okay, I've got 5. He's got 2.
Nice.
But every weekend we've always hung out and we've always listened to music and talk about music, and this is where all this come up from. But so we like all rock. We're
Yeah.
huge into rock. We love blues. We love old country. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we
The real
talk.
stuff.
Yeah, but we talk all rock because we love all
Yeah.
rock, right? So we're big Corn fans too. I mean, we love Corn. I don't know if you ever listen to Corn or
Absolutely.
not.
Oh yeah.
They're-
Shit, I remember going to see those guys in Hollywood when they were like looking for a record deal.
wherever
wow,
they was from Bakersfield, and they was just coming down to
Yeah.
try. Yeah,
yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
But their new album, they're actually bragging about right now is everything's going to be tape.
Oh
And
wow, how
Yeah,
fun.
everything's going to be taped,
and
which is the first time
Gonna
Corn's
sound
done that, and God knows
yeah,
when.
it's gonna sound good.
yeah,
Hell yes, to
tape,
us.
tape is a whole different animal.
Oh yeah,
It's
Yeah,
a,
man. Believe me, man. Hog was recorded on tape.
I mean, and it's
And
got
it
that
sounds-
sound.
God,
It
it's
has
raw.
that
It's
sound.
beautiful.
I recorded that record at Sound City. Do you remember that movie that came out about Sound City
With
that
Dave
did?
Grohl, yes, I've watched it
Yeah.
100 times.
Hell yeah.
That same room that Nevermind was recorded.
Yep.
Pat
Mhm.
Benatar,
Mhm.
fucking
Tom
Fleetwood
Petty,
Mac,
yeah.
Tom Petty, Elton John.
Yes,
Fucking.
Dude, I played that. Elton John had that piano. It's this piano with the big
Yeah.
box on it, so it's totally isolated. That thing's still in there. I played that thing.
Wow.
You are
But
kidding.
I
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I recorded it in the exact same room that they did Nevermind and on that old Neve console. And the guy that produced that record, which I really produced it, he just recreated my demos basically.
I can believe
But he
that.
produced it. Is a guy named Mike Frazier,
Yep.
who's super happening,
yeah,
Mhm.
good guy from
Yeah.
Canada, and but yeah, man, that was all done on tape because tape you can crank it. And
yes,
so
That's
you
exactly
get this
right.
distortion, but it's a good distortion. It's where analog doesn't do that. It's either right or wrong.
That's
yes,
exactly
There's
right.
100%.
Black and white.
there's no
Mhm.
like gray area. So like rock records were notoriously like redlining shit, and you get this like overdrive, and it's the harmonics are the good harmonics. So when it distorts, it's like a guitar amp that distorts. It's like it's a good thing. It
Yeah, oh
sounds
yeah,
good.
yes,
So you
100%.
get this like massive sound out of it. In fact, if you listen to old records, man, of like old James Brown records or
Yeah,
Otis Redding, and they're getting on that yeah on the mic, you can hear it blowing up,
Yep.
man.
yes,
It distorts.
I love it.
All those old records did that,
Now,
and
I
those
I 100% believe that everybody should have the ability to go out and record on the computer with Pro Tools or whatever, but I really wish people would get back to basics and
yeah, man. Well,
record on
the
tape.
thing about it is like the genie's out of the bottle now. It'll never go back. And the reason why it won't go back, because all those machines are really expensive to maintain.
Yeah.
They're very fragile. you got to get these tapes and all this shit, man.
Yeah.
It's just like it's kind of hard to go back to that. You have to have that luxury. First of all, you got to find a studio that's still got that stuff.
Well, yeah.
You
I
don't.
mean, you got Dave Grohl actually bought the board that was at Sound City, and he has
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yeah, he has that at his house, and
How cool.
every album that has come out since Sound City has been on tape by the Foo
Wow.
Fighters. Yeah,
That's
so
great.
yeah,
Well,
and
that board in his house has hog like ghosts floating around
that is
inside.
awesome, dude.
I hope
That
he realized that greatness recorded on that.
hell yes, hell yes. So I mean, the whole, what am I trying to say? It's a different beast. We see a lot of new bands coming out that, it's kind of like what you said earlier, where how did they do that? How did they do that? I don't know. And there's something about tape, man.
Yeah. Well, even with tape, things happen. It's just like hit notes you didn't expect to hit, and
yes,
it's like,
and there's there
and you have to commit too. It's like you don't have like with computers, you can sit in there and just play as many
yes,
tracks and then comp it up. Or on tape, man, it's a lot more work to do comping and to do that sort of studio, you know,
but with tape
design.
there's always happy mistakes.
Yeah, man.
Happy
Dude, there's stuff on records that is unbelievable. There's Van Halen records where you can hear bad punches where there's like a half a word
I
from David
love
Lee
it.
Roth at the beginning of a line. There's like half a word, and you're like, they missed that. How did
Yeah.
they? And they're like, dude, that's it. That's the mix, man.
That's fucking great. That's
I
fucking
know.
great. Where
And you got like five guys working the board, like,
yeah.
pre-automation. I remember when automation came in, dude, I used to fucking make records from demo tapes for people with like 8-track recorders. And dude, I could get those things sounding so good because
Hell yes.
they were tape and they were always warm. And
Yes.
then, and I knew how to bounce, so I could fill up the tracks and then bounce it down and
Yeah.
then get more tracks. So out of an 8-track, I could make a 24-track recording.
Hell
And
yes.
I I had it because I had been doing that sound on sound since I was just a little boy, really. I was good at it, and so I my judgment of like this is gonna wind up sounding great once I keep going, and
Mhm.
it'll be loud enough, and so I knew how to do it. But then, man, I remember when I got my first computer, dude. I just was like, I went bananas. In fact, I did a lot of electronic music just because I was just doing experimental shit,
Yeah.
a lot of drum and bass and all that, just like cutting up samples and these insane drum patterns.
Yeah.
And I used to just love that. And it really helped me learn how to use it and stuff. In fact, when I got signed as Leroy, that's I was coming out of all that. So I had created these like electronic songs. And I was like, man, these ones are kind of like, they're not drum and bass either. This is kind of like a rock and roll tune. I'm just going to sing over this shit. And I did. And I got signed. So when I first got signed as Leroy, you know, I was put in this weird sort of genre, and it was like rock, but it was kind of funky, but it was kind
Yeah.
of electronic. I
Hell
used
yeah.
a lot of beats, like hip hop sort of production in my beats.
Different.
It was a little different, yeah, and that helped me when it came to licensing because at the time everybody wanted to get Beck, and
Oh yeah.
he was so hot that they couldn't afford Beck, and so they go, yeah, but have you heard Leroy? It's got that same sort of electronic or
Hell
rock
yeah.
thing, and we can get that for way less money.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And then later on, it was like when they wanted Lenny Kravitz and he was too expensive, they go, but have you heard the new Leroy? It's kind of a little bit funky and rock
Yeah.
like Lenny Kravitz. So I kind of took a lot of those guys' jobs because they outpriced themselves. And I
We're gonna have to hang out with this dude
Yeah.
sometime, man. I mean,
know,
I'm
man.
telling you, man. I could just sit and listen to your ass all night long.
I
swear
got
to
plenty of stories. All my buddies are like, dude, you really need to write a book.
Yes.
I would buy
We
it.
haven't even gotten into. There's so much.
Oh my God.
I mean, I've had a very long career. I mean, I played with Smash Mouth, toured all over the world.
How
with
was
them,
that? Were they cool guys?
Yeah, they were. They
Yeah.
were really cool. Yeah.
So the lead singer passed away not too long ago, right?
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
I hate
man.
that, man.
That made me really sad because I had just spoken to him. I hadn't talked to him for many years. We actually had a little bit of a falling out as things
Sure.
happened. Right?
Oh yeah,
And
especially
then
bands.
Yeah, we kissed and made up. He actually called me, which I thought was really big of him. And I remember we sat on the phone for like, I'm not kidding you, like 6 hours.
Wow.
Holy shit.
All night. And we were going to start doing some projects and stuff together.
Oh, that'd have been cool.
Because he always enjoyed working with me. And we had fun together when we played too, because he could like put his arm around me.
Oh yeah, and you wouldn't fuck
Do it,
up.
Leroy, and I'd tear it up. So, and he never really had that with the other guys, and they were great musicians and stuff too. Like the original guitar player is phenomenal, but he was kind of his own little enigma in his own little space, and so they never really did that together. And he loved that. He was like, "We're like David Lee Roth and Van Halen," and I was like, "Whatever you need to do, man, just keep calling me for the gigs because these are fun and I'm making good money." And so, but we were good
Do whatever the hell.
friends. And then we had a little falling out, and then he called me years later, and we squashed it, and then he died. It was sad, but
Man, I
at
hate
least
it. So
I was
quick.
really happy. I was really happy that he called me,
Yes.
and we squashed all that, because had he had died before we like kissed and made up, so to speak,
Yeah.
it would have been really sad.
Well, that was an awesome interview, Derek.
It was. It was great.
I mean, this guy's awesome. Now, because of technical difficulties, of course, we had to cut short, and we hate that. But we, from the bottom of our hearts, want to thank Leroy Miller because, I mean, awesome dude. I mean, he's a really
great
awesome
dude.
Yeah, really awesome dude, and very talented, and just to hear about stories and things that he's doing and things that he's done, and the him getting back into rock and roll out of blues, which there's nothing wrong with blues, but he's getting back into rock and roll, and so we want you, the listener, to hear his full song, "Will I Ever Learn," 100% before anybody else. So, Derek, that's all you got.
Will I ever learn?
Thank you.